Hello folks, Mark Stay here. I am a full-time writer now. I'm very lucky to be so. Hasn't always been that way. In fact, the book I've got coming in February, The Crowfolk, the first draft of that was written while I had a full-time job and a commute and all that kind of palaver. So I thought you might find it handy to have 5 tips that work for me for writing around a day job. Tip number 1, spot and schedule. Find gaps in your day. It doesn't have to be long, can be 10, 15, 20 minutes. Find those little gaps in the day where you can write and schedule them. Put them in your diary, your electronic diary, paper diary. Put them in there, make them a fixed point in time and stick to them. There's a temptation to be flexible with these times because it's not a proper job. I'm very protected of these slots, and I treat them with the same weight that I would with the same appointments that I made with my day job. So find a slot, book it, stick to it. Tip number 2, shut down distractions. If you've only got 10, 15, 20 minutes in which to write during the day, any kind of interruption is just going to gobble into that time in no time at all. So you need to shut things out. If you're in an office, move away from your desk if possible. Find another place to write. Put on headphones to cut out the noise. You've got those nice noise cancelling headphones, or you can get something like this, like £3 from from a hardware store. I would have, if I ever was sitting at my desk, I did have people come up to me and say, ask me work questions. So I ended up putting stickers like this on my headphones, and it actually worked. They thought I was mental, but it did actually work. I also found apps that play nature noises very, very useful, particularly when I was on the train. It just shut out all of that extraneous noise. Some people use playlists. I'm kind of too old. I get too distracted by the music these days for playlists, but woodland noises, nature noises, they really, really work for me. So yes, find a quiet spot, shut the door, make it clear to your loved ones and colleagues that you are not to be disturbed. I have a theory that Stephen King's The Shining is really just about a guy just trying to make his daily word count but keeps getting interrupted. Tip number 3, finish mid-sentence. There's nothing more likely to gobble up your writing time than you staring into space thinking, oh, what do I write next? So I got into the habit of finishing in mid-sentence, particularly when my train was just pulling into the station. So that meant next time I started writing, I knew exactly where to start. I just finished that sentence, and before I knew it, my fingers are clacking on the keys, and I'm writing, and I'm off, and I've got the momentum going. Momentum, momentum. Momentum is everything. Tip number 4, always be thinking. So you might not be able to write all the time, but you should be able to engage your brain for some good solid thinking as often as possible. 5 minutes on your hand, just get back to where you last got stuck. What were the problems? What are you writing next? And then jot them down. Just jot those things, little notes down, send them to yourself as little email memos, as audio memos, as scraps of paper on a post-it note, whatever, because write them down, because if you're anything like me, within 5 minutes you'll have completely forgotten it again. Tip number 5, write early, edit late. Now, this is a personal one, and perhaps more to do with me being middle-aged and sluggish, but I found that when I worked on new stuff in the morning, I was bright and breezy, full of energy, and after a day at work, I was completely tired and sluggish. But that didn't mean I couldn't write. What I would usually do was just edit the stuff that I'd written that morning. So, all the energy and inventiveness and creative energy went into the morning stuff, and on the journey home, I was just basically fixing stuff as I went along. Well, it actually leads to a pretty clean first edit. The other method I talk about is a thing I call Be Kind Rewind. So whenever I get stuck, I go back and edit the thing that I just wrote. I go back and fix it and make changes, and that just gets the fingers tapping at the keys. And then when you get to the moment where you are blocked, where you are stuck, whoosh, you just crash right through it. There we go, folks. 5 tips for working around a day job. That's what worked for me anyway. I find the little and often approach really, really works. It's something we use over on the podcast, the Bestseller Experiment podcast. We have this thing, the 200 word a day challenge, where all you have to do is write 200 words a day. You can do that in that 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then you are done. You can stop and then go about your day. I appreciate it's going to be difficult for some people, particularly in lockdown times. If you're in a small house and you've got all your family crammed in there with you, it is hard, but if you can let them know what you're doing, hopefully they can help you, and you can all help each other. But yeah, little and often, that's what worked for me. What works for you? Let me know. Pop something in the comments below. Let's get a conversation going. I hope that was useful, and see you again soon.